Hi guys and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm here with a Q&A, so it's going to be a bit of a different video for me. I asked you guys a couple weeks ago to put in some questions and so I could answer. This is pre-filmed. I'm actually currently in Sweden when you're watching this with my parents, but I am pre-filming this before I go. So I do have my questions right here on my phone, but before we jump into that, if you're new here, please consider subscribing. I would love to have you in the family. But let's just start with the first question. So the first question is, what do you do for work? So this is a bit of a tricky question right now actually, because I am actually currently unemployed. So what happened was that when quarantine first hit and quite early on in the whole COVID thing, in April I did actually lose my job. I was let go in my current position because they did a lot of cuts as the company wasn't doing too great anyway, and then obviously COVID hit and it really did impact the industry I was working in. So what I did was I worked in it's a serviced office industry. So what that means is that rather than having your own kind of big office building for a company, you can go to a provider who has an office building that they rent individual offices in. So it's kind of like a short-term solution for a lot of companies, or it could be a long-term solution too, but it's basically completely managed, so you can just move into the office and it's just a different kind of solution rather than the traditional office space. So that's the industry I worked in, and I was a salesperson, so I basically did all of the inbound leads, so I handled clients who were looking for offices and I helped place them with these providers. So we kind of operated similar to a broker, and yeah, that's what I did. But currently I am looking for a job, but I'm probably going to try to stay in the same industry or do something similar, and I'm hoping to get something soon, but currently, yes, I'm not working. So the second question is, do you ever feel worn out by YouTube? I wouldn't say that I feel worn out by YouTube. I think sometimes I can get a bit overwhelmed, or like I'm kind of maybe a bit worn down in general in my personal life or with anxiety and things like that, because I do have a lot of anxiety from time to time, and sometimes then it can be hard to motivate myself to do YouTube, and it's not really that YouTube is wearing me out, it's more that it's kind of hard, like I said, to motivate myself to post videos sometimes when I am in those situations. So sometimes I feel like it does affect it, but generally I love making YouTube videos, and I don't really feel like it is a struggle to make videos. Like I said, it happens maybe once every month that I just really don't want to film, but I have to because I have a schedule to keep up with. But sometimes if that happens, I do just skip that video and place it at a later date, and yeah, I don't really feel worn out by YouTube, no. So question number 3 is, how are you doing with COVID? I think I'm doing quite well currently. Obviously we've been in lockdown for a long time. In the UK they were quite strict about it initially, and I basically been, I mean, now I'm not completely locked down, we can go out to shops and pubs and stuff, but I've generally just been inside the flat now since middle of March, so it's been a long time, and I mean that's been kind of a struggle, but overall, like, no people that I know personally has really been affected by COVID. I have one friend, actually my old roommate, who got COVID, and she had a few symptoms that were quite not aggressive, but they were quite noticeable, and they kind of affected her life a little bit, but now she's fully recovered and she's still very young, so it wasn't really that she was in the risk zone for anything. But other than that, I don't really know anyone who's been affected by it, and now when the full lockdown is over, I don't really feel like it's impacting my life too much, so I'm doing okay with it. Obviously I'm still being careful and I'm wearing face masks and stuff if I'm going out, and yeah, I think that's what most people do, but I'm not really struggling with COVID. And then for the fourth question, is kind of a sub category, but someone asked me to tell a bit more about my relationship, and I thought I would bring in a guest for that.
Hello.
Hello. This is my boyfriend.
Hi.
So yes, this is Michael, and yeah, I just thought it would be good to have him here to answer the questions as well. So the first question is, how did we meet?
We met through work,
yes.
But she kind of saw me from the distance and came and asked me no. Essentially we worked together, but I've been working at the company for 4 years, and she started and I kind of saw her and thought she's really pretty. So we met at a quarterly meeting, started chatting through that, and luckily I charmed her enough so that she got a date with me.
Snatched me up quite quickly.
Exactly.
I only worked there for a month when we started dating, so exactly. Yeah, but that's how we met through work.
Quickly.
Yes. And then second question is, what do you two love about each other?
I love her honesty, and her kindness.
Okay. I think.
You think?
I think I love that you make me laugh a lot. You're very funny, and we have the same humor, and we're both very weird people, and I love that. And I love that you're very supportive. You are also very ambitious, which I love. And
you said a lot more than I have. I thought
no, there's a lot of things, but that's just some of them. Yeah.
She's also very pretty as well.
Yeah, and you're decently handsome.
I know.
Yeah. And then the third question, which is the last question with you, is what are some things that we like to do together?
Eat out.
Yeah.
Restaurants in particular.
I love food.
You've introduced me to a lot of different foods, sushi in particular as well. I think you probably mentioned that on your channel before, haven't you?
I do love sushi.
Red wine, music.
Yeah.
We listen to a lot of music, especially when I'm driving.
Yeah. And I think just common things like watching films and stuff as well. But I think one of our main thing is trying new restaurants and going out for food. And
that's probably the main thing.
Yeah. Good. Thank you. Hop out.
Bye.
Bye. So moving on to the next question, and that is, do you have any pets? I personally don't have any pets, but my parents actually picked up a puppy last week, so I'm actually going home. Like I said, when you're watching this, I'm already in Sweden, and I'm probably cuddling with a puppy right now. But yeah, they picked up a Shetland sheepdog. I think I will include her in a video that I'm filming when I'm in Sweden, if that's already up. I think she's either going to be in my Project Polish video or my what is that one? The Shop My Stash video. So check out those videos if you want to see her. I'm definitely going to show her in one of those too. But yes, my parents now have a puppy, but I don't personally have any pets. Question number 6 is, how are you doing with your new home? Doing quite well. So I actually moved in here just a month before lockdown happened, or I think not even that, it's like 2 weeks before lockdown happened, so it all went quite quickly. But it's great, and I really like this flat. Like I mentioned in videos before, it's quite spacious, and we do have a lot of room. We have 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and a kitchen, and a smaller living room as well. So I do like it a lot, and I feel like it's definitely more suitable to me than my previous flat. And yeah, I do really love it. I actually might do a apartment tour because people requested that, if my boyfriend thinks that's okay, but that might happen in the future. So I might do that, and you can see more of the flat then. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I'm really happy that I moved here. So question number 7 is, tell us about your family. So my family consists of obviously me, and then my parents and my brother. They all live in Sweden apart from me. My parents, they're still together, and they live basically in the house where I grew up. My mom works as a nurse, and my dad has his own company. And then my brother is currently training to be an Air Force pilot in Sweden, which is quite exciting. My brother is 2 years younger than me, and we're very close. I'm actually quite close with my whole family, and I'm very excited that I'm home currently and visiting them, because I haven't seen them since Christmas. But yeah, we do talk a lot, and especially me and my mom, we speak on the phone like several times a week for hours, and yeah, I'm very close to them. But that is my family. Then question number 8 is, what do you prefer about living in the UK compared to Sweden? So I always say that one of the reasons why I love living here is the culture and the people here. I do love Sweden, and I always also say that I'm very grateful that I'm Swedish and that I have that as like a home. But I just love that, especially in London, people are very open and you can meet people from every culture. I also love how like polite people are here, and I don't know, it's just a lot of like things, but like I think that is probably the main thing, is just the culture. And then also that is a lot more things to do here. Obviously, again, London is a massive city. You can basically do whatever you want to do, which I love. But yeah, I would say those are the main things why I prefer living in the UK compared to Sweden. Question number 9 is, what do you miss most about Sweden as a country? So I think what I miss most is, I mean, obviously I miss my family and my friends, but that's not really Sweden as a country. So I would say I love the summers in Sweden. I love the coast. We have a lot of coast in Sweden. I love the nature, things like that. I think that's probably what I miss the most, because when it comes to other things like activities or things like you can do in Sweden, I feel like you can do most of them here as well. So I would probably just say the nature and yeah, the coast, and probably having the sea around, because for me, I always had the coast really close to me, like walking distance to the sea, and that's probably the number one thing I miss living here in London. What countries, cities have you lived in, visited as a tourist? So visited, I have visited a lot of countries. I have been through a lot of the countries in Europe. There's still quite a few big ones that I still haven't been to, but I'm planning to go to. But I've been through like Germany, Austria, Slovenia, Slovakia. I've been to Croatia, been to Spain. I've been to, yeah, a lot of the countries in Europe. And then I also been to the US. I also used to live there, and I also been to Thailand. So mainly Europe, a bit of the US, as well as Thailand in the Asia. So those are the places I've visited. And then when it comes to where I've lived, obviously I lived in a couple of cities in Sweden. They're all kind of smaller, so I don't think most people recognize them anyway. But my family are from a small town in the south by the coast, and then I did study in a city called Jönköping in Sweden, so I did live there for a while as well. And then obviously I lived in London, and then also when I did my university I did an exchange semester in Chicago, so I used to live there for 6 months. Which countries do you plan to visit in the future? There's a lot. I think the main ones is I want to go back to the US, specifically going to the West Coast because I haven't been there. I also really want to go to Australia. And then countries kind of closer to here that I want to go to is the ones in Europe that I said I haven't been to, which is like Italy and France mainly, I would say. And I also really want to go to Scotland. Question number 12 is, do you speak any languages other than Swedish and English? I don't really speak anything else fluently. I do understand Danish and Norwegian quite well, obviously because it's very, very similar to Swedish. I also have family in Denmark. My grandma is actually Danish, so I'm quarter Danish. So I particularly understand Danish quite well. Norwegian is also very similar to Swedish. In my old job, for example, I did work kind of with half Norwegian clients, so I do understand that. And then I do understand a little bit of Spanish and also German because I did that in school, but I wouldn't say that I'm fluent or anything at all close to that in either of those two. Number 13 is, what do you usually have for breakfast? Honestly, I don't really have breakfast normally. I usually just wait until lunch. I don't really get hungry in the mornings, but if I do have something, it's probably going to be something like toast, or I love bagels, or if I go out for breakfast, I'll usually have an Eggs Benedict. Question number 14 is, what is your favorite hot, cold and alcoholic beverage? Hot, I would probably say tea, because I love tea. Cold, that's difficult. I would say orange juice. I really like orange juice. And then alcoholic beverages, I love red wine a lot, but then if I go out for cocktails, I usually go for an amaretto sour or a whiskey sour. Question number 15 is, what do you consider to be your greatest achievement in life so far? So this is a really difficult question to answer. I would probably say that my biggest achievement so far is probably when I moved away from home when I was 15. So basically when I started what we see in college gymnasium, it's basically, I would say it's same as high school. I actually moved away from home and did like a special education where I did part university courses mixed with my high school education. So that was quite a big step, and I think that has definitely kind of shaped me and made me more independent. And yeah, I would probably say that's my biggest achievement in life so far. Question number 16 is, how do you deal with stress and negative emotions? What helps you to keep going in tough times? So like I mentioned before, I do have a lot of anxiety, and I do also struggle with I wouldn't say depression because I haven't been diagnosed with that, but I do have quite like negative times on and off, and it can be quite hard for me to handle that. But what I usually do is I just try to kind of distract myself when I'm able to. So I listen to audiobooks a lot because I just kind of have something on in the background to just keep you busy, or watch YouTube is another big one, or just TV series, or just have something on that you can distract your mind. Another thing that I try to do is just go for walks. I've been really bad with that now during quarantine, but it's something that I try to do. And then I would say maybe just talk to people and share it with the people that you're close to, either friends or your partner, because I think sharing it with someone else does really help, and it kind of like lightens the burden a bit. Question number 17 is, if you could collab with any makeup brand, who would you pick and what product would it be? It's another really difficult one for me to answer. I have a few companies that I would probably say. I feel like the dream collab would probably be something like Natasha Denona, because I love her eyeshadow formula, and obviously that would be such a like achievement, and she's such a kind of well-known and premium brand, that would be amazing. But she doesn't really do collabs, so I don't really feel like I can answer her. So I think what I would say is I would probably say Colourpop, because I do love their products, and especially eyeshadows, which I would probably say that that's the product I would do. I would probably do an eyeshadow palette. Although I love lipsticks, I feel like I've gone more towards eyeshadow recently, and that's what I would create. And I think why I would choose Colourpop is because it's a good price point, and it's kind of available for a lot of people. A lot of people can purchase from them, and yeah, I just feel like they do a lot of collabs, and I feel like when they have collabs from, obviously I don't know the whole background, but since they are quite diverse, I feel like they would be quite flexible, and you would actually be able to create what you want to create. So that's probably why I would pick Colourpop, and I do have a lot of eyeshadow palettes from them, so that would definitely be something that I'd like to do. So my battery died, so if the setup is a little bit different, you know why. But the next question is number 18, which is, do you play the guitar that's in the background of your videos or any other instrument? So this is the guitar they're talking about, and no, I don't. It's actually my boyfriend's guitar, and he does have a few of them. When it comes to my instrument abilities, I don't really play any instrument. When I was younger, I did play the piano for a few years, but I haven't really played it at all since I was little, so I wouldn't say that I play the instruments, no. Question number 19 is, what kind of music do you listen to? I do listen to a wide variety of music, and I would say it's anything from pop to slightly more alternative. I know my boyfriend wouldn't say that I do listen to indie music, not compared to him at least, but I do like, I would say, kind of a bit more of the mainstream indie music as well. So I would say that I listen to a lot of different music. I might leave some songs that I think of later on that I love currently down below in the description box if you want to check out any of them. I might link them to Spotify so you can listen to them if you want to listen to the kind of music I like at the moment. Question number 20 is, what do you do to not get bored of your project polish? Honestly, when it comes to my project polish, I don't really get bored that easily. I'm quite happy with the rotation that I do have. Certain polishes I do get bored of, but in general I don't really get that bored of the project polish. But overall, in like panning in general, I think just kind of incorporating other products as well. I try to reach for my product pan item as much as possible, but sometimes I switch it up with other products and things like that just to make it more interesting. Otherwise, I am quite a determined person. I'm quite stubborn, and I like seeing progress, so I think that is enough for me not to get bored. So I think my personality helps, but in general incorporating other products does really help. Question number 21 is, how did you get into makeup? Honestly, when I was younger, I wasn't really that into makeup because my mom, she doesn't really do makeup that much. She wears it a little bit, and she has gotten a lot of products for me that she plays with a bit more now, but growing up she barely did makeup, used like mascara, no foundation, no concealer, nothing, just mascara and sometimes some sort of lip stain or something like that. But I think what made me get into makeup was when I was maybe around 15, 14, and I discovered YouTube. And I think how I initially started getting into it was just looking up tutorials for TV characters. So I remember looking up Blair from what's that show called? Looking up Blair from Gossip Girl, for example, and like people like looking into kind of tutorials, hair tutorials as well as makeup tutorials. And I think that's just how I found YouTube, and then from there it just grew, and I have loved makeup ever since. Question 22 is, how old are you? I am 26. I'm turning 27 on November 19th. Question number 23 is, can you talk about how and why you moved to the UK? I moved to the UK because I feel like I always wanted to move abroad, and even just for a year or so I wanted to try living abroad because I've always been really fascinated by other cultures. And initially I wanted to move to the US, but I went on holiday to the UK, actually to London with my mum, I think when I was 14, and I absolutely fell in love with London, and I just knew that I needed to move here. So originally when I moved here was back in 2012. I actually was an au pair, so I worked with a family, so I got a job before I left. So I did nannying or au pairing for 2 years, and then I moved back to Sweden and did uni. And then how I moved back now was basically just applying for jobs and getting that first. And then as soon as I had a job, I was lucky enough to find a job before I moved. but then once I moved, I lived with my friend who also lives here in London for literally I think 2 nights, and then I did find a little flat straight away that I moved into. But it does really help that I already had a bank account and like things like that, because it can be tricky sometimes to do that initial move, but that's how I handled it, at least. Question number 24 is, what was the biggest culture shock or hardest thing to get used to when you first moved? To be honest, I mean, like I said before, I do prefer the culture here, but overall the culture in the UK compared to Sweden isn't that different. I think something that maybe took me by surprise is, like I said, how open people are, but I wouldn't say that's a culture shock, and it wasn't really difficult at all. It was more of a happy surprise, I think. But yeah, I don't think I had any culture shocks when I moved here. I think the thing that was hardest to get used to, I don't know, to be honest. Sorry about that, but yeah, I can't really say that I had any culture shocks. Question number 25 is, how often do you visit home slash your family? So normally I would say that I probably go back around maybe 3 to 5 times a year. Like when I first moved back last year, I did go back a lot. I think I went back like 5 times or something like that in the year. But obviously this year with COVID I haven't been able to go. I haven't been home now since Christmas, so it's really nice that I'm traveling back to see my family again, but I do try to see them quite often. But yeah, it is maybe around 4 times a year. Number 26 is, what did you study at university? I did study international management, which is a degree in business administration, and in uni I had a completely international degree, so all my education was in English. And like I said, I did have a semester at Loyola in Chicago, where I studied like individual courses in business, sales, marketing, things like that. Question number 27 is, what are your hobbies outside of YouTube? I kind of briefed on that before with my boyfriend, but I love food, I love cooking. I spend a lot of time cooking, especially now when I'm not working. I take a lot of time just to cook both lunch and dinners, and I really enjoy that. I love playing with different flavors, things like that. I also love trying new food, going out for food. I think I'm just a big foodie overall. Other hobbies, I read. I haven't been reading too much, but I started getting into it again. But I do love reading. And yeah, I think that's my main hobbies. YouTube is a big one, and it takes up most of my spare time. I spend a lot of time watching YouTube and filming. But yeah, food and reading is probably 2 of the other hobbies that I have. That was actually the final question, and I really hope you kind of got a bit more insight into me and felt like you got to know me a bit better. I'm more than happy to do more of these in the future if you liked it. So if you did, please give it a thumbs up, and if you have any further questions, just leave them below and I can answer them in the comments. And otherwise, I hope you're having an amazing day, and I will talk to you in my next video. Bye guys!